Hey going folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be getting into my mostly complete one-tonner. I don't need two one-tonners to restore, and this thing's mostly one color, and it already runs and drives, so I wanted to do something fun with this thing, so we're going to turbo it. It's something I've always wanted to do with one of these. As you can see, I've got the intercooler mounted up and I've got the grill modified, so let's get into this episode. Alright, so first things first, I had to rip off the front bumper and the nose cone. I did try using the axle stands to position the intercooler, but they would not go high enough, so I had to use the jack. So as you'll see a bit further in this, I actually put a block of wood under the jack just to make it center a little bit, or level I should say. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting it level and I'm finding my center mark. So what I've used to find my center mark is I've measured out from the outside of the weld on the intercooler to the outside of the weld on the other side. So the bolt hole on the bonnet catch was 175, so half that is 87.5, and outside of the weld to outside of the weld on the intercooler was 610, so you can halve that and get 305, and that's how I found my center mark. So once center marks were found, and as you can see it's all level, I then started looking at other parts of the car, like the inlet and outlet pipe. As you can see, one of the pipes, I haven't determined which one it is way too close to the rad support, so I just had to move him out a smidge before I could go further with this. So now that I've added the piece of wood and the bonnet couch, everything has changed except where the center marks are. I now have to lower the intercooler for clearance reasons, as when I go to shut the bonnet, it will not do the second latch, as I'll be hitting the intercooler. One thing that I have that you might not have if you try and do this is the reference I have for where the end of the grill will be is where my bonnet popper is. I did this very early in my YouTube career, if you want to call it that, and this gives me reference to where the grill ends. So having that means I know where my clearances are, or how far I can bring the intercooler out or in, or later on in the video where I try and fit the grill, how much clearance I'm going to have there. But I've got clearance in between the intercooler and the radiator. I've got some clearance to put the silicone joiners on, and I can start moving on. And now that I've got clearances all around, I can start making up my top mount. So here's my CAD design of my template. I tried doing one of those throwing videos where they magically appear on the car, but I greatly failed at that, so good luck next time. So I wanted to position the intercooler and set up the top mount in such a fashion that I could have a really easy to make bottom intercooler mount. And as you can see from this, I've made it high enough that I can use the bottom bolt for the bonnet catch, and as you saw a glimpse there of the bracket. Another thing I had to do was I had to do a relief cut in the mount for the bonnet catch. Now I actually closed up this hole, and I'm going to use it as a second bonnet catch, just in case I end up going too fast and end up needing a second bonnet catch so it doesn't blow up, which is very doubtful. I would like to say that I am kind of on the fence with how the top one turned out, but as for the bottom one, I'm super happy. Now that that's done, I can start focusing on the grill. Now this grill didn't start off like this. I actually pulled this grill off the abandoned HQ ute that you'll see a couple of videos previous to this one. This grill was ready for the bin. One of the problems I had with this was when I went to go and remove the chrome trims were the only thing holding the top and the bottom together. So what I did was I got out my my staple gun, one of those plastic welders, just so that when I took the chrome molds off, it wouldn't disintegrate into a million pieces, because after I pulled the chrome trim off, I actually gurneyed it all off and got it clean. As you can see, all the chrome trims are there, and there's a glimpse of my plastic welder. But yeah, this is what we have to start off with. As you can see, all the fins are bent, it's snapped. It's not great all round. So this is how I got it to as you first saw it. All right, with a bit of work with the heat gun, the staple gun, I now have something that resembles a HQ grill and that retains shape and doesn't fall to pieces. I wanted to do this before I go ahead and start cutting it, just because I've never worked with plastic before, so it was a good indicator of what's to come for me. Now, my initial cut, a lot of thought had to go into this. As you can see, I've marked it in on the flat. I've marked it in from the indent from the center bar. I wanted to join it on a flat just because it was a lot easier than trying to join it on an edge. So that's why I've marked it so far in, and because of that center bar, I didn't want to nick that with the grinder or have to try and join that on all those angles, which I ended up nicking it, but I could clean that up with a bit of plastic weld later on. Once it's cut up, I decided to put it back in, well, the frame, and what I'm just doing here is seeing how much clearance I have to the intercooler piping to the grill, which I had none of. So that gave me an indicator of how much I needed to take away from the frame and how much I had to bring the grill forward. So this is where it starts getting hard if you thought the rest was easy. So as you can see, the point of the grill and the point of the nose cone at the top and bottom is totally different. The grill is a lot sharper than the nose cone at the top and bottom. That's because generally a typical HQ grill will sit back a lot further, which will allow you to have that a lot sharper angle. But because I want to bring it forward, I have to flatten it out, and it has to go with the same angles that the nose cone is at the top and bottom. Because if I left it in its standard form, it would protrude out from the grill by about an inch at the sharpest, or at the center, I should say. So what I've done to resolve this is that I've got my heat gun out and I've heated it up from the center. Now, heating it up from the outside of the grill didn't really work, so I flipped it over, heated it from the center, but this time from the inside, and the weight of the ends kind of flattened itself out, which was good for me because it made it a lot easier. So sitting it back in, you can see it fits in the hole like it should. I have had a few comments from people that I've shown while I was doing this that it does kind of look like an El Camino grill with how flat it is. One thing I'd like to address here is if you look at that center bar, it is quite upturned, and I'll address this later in the video and how I resolved it. So what I've been doing is I've been making this, as you can see, if I can line him up right, oh, kind of right, that's him. Oh, you can't see that one because my hand's there, but these ones taper through here somewhat, and they're a lot thinner, but That's him. And how I've been making them is, been using my offcuts, cutting it out like that. I then clamp it in this guy, like so. And then I take him over to my bench grinder and I just hold him on there and just get that taper. And then once that's done, I just go over it with the file in the vise, either. This one cuts a bit better. And then I just give it a light sand with 100, and that's what gives me this. So I've got 2 more to do that one and then the other one. And then I've got all my horizontal bars. I've already got my vertical bars for here. When I cut them out of this one, I just put them up against that, so that's them. So 2 more of these and I'll have a full grill. All these are offcuts, so it's good to keep them. Alright, so all the bottom half is all welded in, and as you can see the center bar and the top and bottom fit a lot nicer. As you can see, what I've done is I've split it. That zoom in's there for all you people who want to tell me not to quit my day job. Don't worry, I don't plan to. So, like I was saying, I've split it top, middle and bottom. I was always mindful that I may have to do this, and once I did it, I was a lot happier with the fitment at top and bottom, and it corrected that middle bar as well. The middle bar was overlapping itself once I split it, but once I ran the grinder through it a couple more times, it corrected itself and returned to its normal position. Now the reason I'm yielding a set of vice grips is because what I'm going to do next is something that I wanted to correct, but I didn't want to do it so early when I was still putting heat into the grill. But one of the things that you may notice, I think I do a zoom in a bit forward in the video, is that a lot of the areas that I heated up, these smaller fins were in the contact area and they were affected from the heat. So what I do is, here's the zoom in. As you can see, there's a few of the fins that have been affected by heat. So what I plan to do is I'm going to heat up those horizontal fins individually, and then I will clamp them with the vice grip until they cool down and they will return back to the previous shape that they should be. I wouldn't recommend doing this with a different type of or style of vice grip. I don't know what this one's called, but it fit perfectly in between the fins and it did the job what I needed it to do. So after watching back that previous bit and being the master of procrastination that I am, I kind of thought to myself, no, I can do better than this, and it's not ready for bog. So what I did was, I went back over all the frame and re-welded everything just to dress it all up and turn it from looking like this to this, which I would say that is a finished result prior bog. And with that, I think we can chalk this one up. As for the intercooler, that was pretty straightforward. As for the grill, being someone who never worked with plastic before, it was days and days of agony. And saying that, I got it into primer and then I test fitted the chrome molding and it split top and bottom. So goes to show I still have a lot more to learn, or it's just trying to weld plastic and that's what happens. Saying that, I do have something that resembles a grill, which is good for me because it did not resemble a grill to begin with when I pulled it out of the car. It's got some wobbly bits and whatnot, but I'm just going to chalk this one up as my test dummy or the prototype, and down the track we'll do a better one. Do have a couple of grills around the place, and they are a lot better starting points than what this was. But overall, I'm still happy with it. It looks like a HQ grill. It'll do the job. It fits in with the car. I think it would fit in a lot better if the headlight surrounds were black as well, but I don't really want to paint brand new headlight surrounds when I could just buy black ones. But with that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and take it easy.